This is a review of the Casio G-Shock GWM5610, a rugged solar power watch that syncs with atomic time via a built-in radio antenna. While there are a lot of different G-Shocks out there in a variety of sizes, shapes, and colors, the original 1983 G-Shock GWM5610U was a rugged square watch, very much like this one. This is its direct descendant, keeping with the iconic square design and updated with cool technologies without it going overboard and becoming a smartwatch tied to your phone, but still a very fully functional watch on its own. The 5610 is a large watch when compared with a F91W, for example. You can see the size difference here, as well as the length, width, and thickness. It is chunky, however, it is actually on the small side and one of the more compact G-Shocks when compared to other watches in the G-Shock lineup. For all practical purposes, my daily life will never test the watch's ruggedness to its full extent, even though G-Shocks are the watch of choice for Navy SEALs and many astronauts. At 13 millimeters, it is quite a bit thicker than the F91W, which is at 8.5 millimeters and more than twice the thickness of the A700 I reviewed a little bit earlier. But it is still fairly light at 49 grams or 1.75 ounces. And, it is twice the weight of a F91W, but on the wrist, it's still very comfortable to wear. And surprisingly, it doesn't feel as chunky as it looks on its own. You can see the band has a metal clasp right here. And it has a lot of ridges and channels all around the band that allows it to breathe better on your wrist. So, your wrist doesn't get too sweaty. The 3495 module that powers the watch is accurate within half of a second per day. But the party piece here is that it can receive radio signals sent out by the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology in collaboration with the U.S. Naval Observatory. Casio calls this multiband 6. You can see that right here on the back and also in the front right up here. And it's called multiband 6 because in addition to the U.S. station, in Colorado, Europe has 2 stations, China has 1, and Japan also has 2 stations. The watch will try to sync itself every night, but you can manually sync it by pressing the lower right button. So if you can see, actually, if you press it, you can actually tell when it would last synced. In this case, 1:05 in the morning earlier today. So you see that get right there, but if you hold it, it'll try to manually sync. And as it syncs, it'll, if it receives a signal, we're indoors in my office, but if it's actually receiving signals, it'll L1, L2, L3 on how good the signal is. And you can see a flash, and this right now it's not receiving any signal, so it'll beep and say error and come out of that mode. In order to make it sync, you need to figure out which direction that radio station is and face it that way by the window. And you can see that because it was synced at 1:05 in the morning, there's a little RCVD saying that essentially the watch says it's been synced for the day, even though when we just try to sync now, it didn't work, because we're indoors and we're definitely not facing any windows or in the right direction. The watch is also solar powered, and it's called Tough Solar. You can see it on the front right here, right above the G-Shock, and then also on the back as well. It says Tough Solar. Essentially, it's solar powered. And you can actually see the solar panel surrounding the display. Unlike one of the earlier older Casio solar watch I reviewed that has the top half of all being solar panels, which use a capacitor, this 5610 uses a rechargeable battery, which means it does offer a light function. You can see a light function. It's a faint blue color, and which the older watch did not have, and it's just more fully featured in general. And combined with automatic power saving features, which includes auto display shutoff, it can last 10 months without any exposure to light, which is about 9.5 months better than the 14-day battery life of the older watches. To charge it from empty to full takes almost 50 hours in direct sunlight, but it does charge indoors as well, but it just takes quite a bit longer. And you can see the power saving mode is on with the PS indicator on the upper left of the display, as well as the battery level. You see low, medium, high on the lower right hand corner. And the little LT above the seconds also means the auto light feature is turned on, which means that if you're in the dark and you tilt the watch 40 degrees, the light will automatically come on. We're obviously not in the dark here, but it works quite well. The rest of the features are pretty standard for G-Shocks, and if you have the time display right here, and then you go to different modes, you have 5 different world times. You have 4 standard alarms plus a snooze alarm and an hourly signal, which is when they're on, they're indicated here on the lower left. So I don't have any snooze alarms or alarms, but I do have the hourly signal on. And then you also have the stopwatch, and then the countdown timer, and then it goes back to regular time telling functions. There are tons of other settings that you can adjust and customize to your liking, and it does actually come with a fairly thick manual should you want to go through it. There are newer versions of this watch with Bluetooth and connects with your smartphone, but at that point, and also at that price point, you might as well just get a smartwatch. There are tons of different editions, anniversary editions, carbon fiber, full metal, titanium versions that can go all the way up to a few $1,000s. But if you don't want solar or atomic, Casio offers ones without the multiband 6 or tough solar and just runs on a battery, just like the older ones. They do have those in the 5,000 and 5,600 lines of watches. So if you want an iconic Casio that epitomizes what a G-Shock is and what it has evolved in the past 40 years from 1983, this 5610 has it all. And if you're going to get one G-Shock, this is the one to get.